wait, whatever his name is. I don't know, ancestral people, because you all remember that if you've watched the anime or read the manga in the Shibuya incident. Let's get into JJK up here. So this is chapter 269. We don't like Mei Mei. I don't like Mei Mei. Mei Mei is the cause of Nanami's death. I will forever say that. She can go to hell. So, as we see, Yuta is actually back in his body. Maki is upset. I love her so much. She's just chef's kiss. So Yuta is back in his body. How he did that? Well, he does explain that Rika, which is she's a cursed spirit, but he can also control her. He has a ring that helps with that. There's a whole backstory to that. I will get into that. Rika didn't follow him into Gojo's body. He thought he lost his connection to her. But Rika was using reverse curse technique to repair and sustain my body, which Eri had worked on. When Kenjaku's curse technique burnt out due to the domain, he thought he was dead. But because Rika did not follow him into Gojo's body and sustained his body, he was able to go back into his own body. It was very dangerous what he did. Yes, he did. He could have died. The reason why I don't like Yuta is because a lot of people ship Yuta with Maki, and I don't like that very well. But he is very lucky that Rika did sustain his body. They do talk about the risks and everything like that, but I'm not going to get into too much of that. This is just filler. So Panda is small because he used a lot of his strength during a fight. He can turn into, oh my god, they said that, gorilla, and there was another one. His gorilla is his brother, and there was another one I forgot. I'd have to go back chapters. This is just a lot of filler of what happened, how the fight ended, why it ended the way it did, what could have gone wrong, all the close calls they had, which they had a lot of close calls in the fight. They've had a numerous amount of close calls in the fight with Sukuna. Again, back to saying what I was saying in the last one, he had 19 fingers, not his 20. They all almost died. And Maki being able to take Black Flash twice is amazing. She's very strong for someone who has well, now she has somewhat of a cursed energy. She has heavenly restriction just like Toji did, because her sister died. She was a twin, and when twins are born, the cursed energy gets split between them. One may have some cursed energy, one may have the strength from it, but they can never get to a point like Yuji, Gojo, whatever, because it's split between them. Maki's twin sister died, which enabled her to become a fully fledged sorcerer with heavenly restriction. But even so, for her to survive getting hit by Black Flash twice, which is a very strong attack, it could have killed her. Thank God she wasn't killed, but it could have killed her. All of these guys could have died in one way or another. When we get here with Mei Mei and whatever his name is, I don't know, ancestral people, because you all remember that if you've watched the anime or read the manga in the Shibuya incident. I'm gonna be saying that a lot. I say that a lot because the Shibuya incident was a major part of this manga and of the anime, of the lore. The Shibuya incident really is, and I already know how that's gonna get edited. But there was a part in Shibuya where in my manga and in the anime where, okay, she's like 30 something years old. In Jujitsu Kaisen, when they went back to where she was in high school with Gojo and Geto and all them, so she was a third year when Gojo and Geto were second years, so she is a bit older than me. I would put her about 33, 34. And he is about like 13, 14 years old, give or take. And in the Shibuya incident, manga and anime, she jumps into bed booty naked with him. Sweet home Alabama. Anywho, she's going on to explain about their clan. And then here's the thing that gets me upset. This is the first time we are hearing about her clan. All these sorcerers come from a clan or another, or they just came into power like Yuji. But the majority of these people in Jujutsu Kaisen, they come from a family of sorcerers. Maki, Gojo, there was a third one. I forgot the name. But Maki and Gojo being, two of the big three. Gojo is from a family who are very, very, very powerful sorcerers with the six eye technique. Maki is from very powerful sorcerers as well, the Zenin clan. But I think she's part of the big three as well. Yeah, she is. She's part of the big three as well. But when it comes down to here, she starts to talk about how her clan works, how her powers work and whatnot, and that her little brother, in time, that he will become the leader and rake in monthly fees from the disciples. So their clan is all about money. A lot of it is about money. She's very money hungry. He's part of it as well. Their disciple pays a monthly fee. Only the leader can undo the various binding vows. As far as I know, there aren't any senior disciples who have information on the head. So the head, the leader, is shrouded in darkness. And then Mei says, maybe you mean there weren't any. He's currently the head of the new shadow style right now. So, and then he goes on to say, the simple domain, binding vow, and lifespan spell are no longer a problem. So it's rumored, she does even mention it in, it's either right here or the last page. What's unreasonable about a binding vow forbidding the teaching of a new shadow style to anyone but disciples? That's only part of it. You can't refuse summons to action from a head, among other complications. What's particularly tricky is lifespan, because this is closer to a spell without limit than a binding vow or curse technique. New shadow styles head absorbs the lifespan of the disciples. Supposedly, we learn later that is true. They actually do. So here is the head, and then she's talking about how even Jujitsu could be a subscription service, which again, money hungry. So right here, she confronts the head, pretending to be making a deal with buying goods or selling goods. She's like, "How much? I'm taking your life. How did you find me? And how do you know I'm the leader? I'm from someone in the know, but no one should know that. You intend to increase the number of disciples to stand along the big three families." Oh, so she's not a big three. Okay. "And then control Jujitsu headquarters and the sorcery world, didn't you?" And then she finds out it was Tengen, who is pretty much the complete opposite of Sukuna. He's the good, he's the big good, while the big bad is gone. She realizes Tengen told Mei. And then she goes on to say here, it would take a long time, but absorbing lifespan from disciples must have been a means for living to someday see it. So it is confirmed that she has been absorbing lifespans. The head has been absorbing lifespans from disciples just to live longer. You can't exchange such ambition for money. Anyway, what's more important than money can't be protected without money. If there wasn't exclusive control of simple domains, some sorcerers would have had to die. And now the Zenin clan has fallen to ruin. Yes, because Maki murdered them all. The Kamo and Gojo clans both fall in the final battle. You are trying to make my little brother defective, so this was bound to happen. One thing about her, about Mei, is she does care about her little brother. To the extent we don't know. Well, we know Sweet Home Alabama extent, but to the biggest extent, we don't really know whether she sees him also for financial gain. And then obviously blood has spilt here, meaning she has killed the head. And guess what? That ends. Another chapter with more questions and answers, and then we get to chapter 70. Now let me remind you, chapter 271 that premieres on the 30th is the final chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen. Gege is ending it Monday. And I don't know how, because again, we're going to review this chapter. And they don't touch on the one she killed at all. So here, he's laying flowers for his sister. This is Shoko, which is, she went to school with Gojo, Geto, and all them. Her powers are healing. She's pretty much the school nurse with her sorcery powers. So here comes, a call about, I believe, Tengen. So we go over here. Tengen's absorbed vestiges were left in Sukuna's remains, which were stripped from Megumi as well. And then they're asking, what about Tengen's burial? Well, we'll leave Sukuna's remains, so it should hold for a while. That's good to know, but let's come up with countermeasures and an alternative soon. So they know that this should hold Sukuna's remains for now. Not forever, but for now. And it says, do not rush, you're still young. And then we have Maki. Now, I know I didn't review all of Jujutsu Kaisen, but she ran into these two in the calling games. She's giving them one of the katana, a cursed tool katana, because he loves katanas, he loves sumo. And that this is just tying up a little bit of loose ends here. Manga artist, whatnot. Someone who got bullied, apologizing, whatever. It's clear that she likes him, because he's saying that he'll be her right arm, this is adorable. And then we get here where this random civilian comes home and she sees, her husband, her boyfriend, whatever he is, asking, "Hey, can we eat out tonight?" Then he turns and looks like this, and so they get called. But to them, granted, all these, Nobara, Megumi, and Yuji all have cursed energy, but they don't see him like she did. So it comes clear that she's the one who has some residual cursed spirit, cursed energy, okay, girlfriend, or whatnot, within her, and it's not him. So Nobara takes her to examine her body, and then we get here where Yuji and Megumi are talking. Ijichi said the effect of the residuals are just a little pesky. I doubt it's a cursed spirit. The main body of the cursed spirit isn't possessing anyone, but there are diluted residuals, plus the victims experiencing minor difficulties, which is just, eyeballs. A cursed user is probably to blame, but there's no malice behind it, so I suspect a surviving calling game player of the awakened type. Of course, it's a semi-grade 1 or higher cursed spirit is involved for some reason and just holding back, then a chase could result in damages like the Yasuhachi Bridge incident. A cursed user stirring up trouble, that should be a cinch for the three of us. And then it ends there. But what I don't understand here is, isn't the calling games done? I believe they touched on it back here too. So the calling game lost its purpose. From now on, measures addressing fully fleshed calling game players will become a topic of discussion. So technically, what my understanding is, the calling games is still active because there are still game players, but it's lost its purpose. So the game is still going, but not in the way it was meant to go. But with all that, it's crazy to me because I don't understand how this is going to go about. The last chapter is Monday, and I don't understand how this is gonna play out. To me, there's still a lot of loose ends that have not been tied up, that won't be tied up. Again, Nobara's mom. Who is Nobara's mom? They gave us this clue and then said, "Oh, well, we're not going to tell you." We know the calling games is still active and there's players still around. The calling games is not performing in the way that it was before. How is this going to get wrapped up? Or is he leading up to like Naruto Shippuden? Like, we're going to get a Shippuden part of Jujutsu Kaisen. But that's it for that. We are going to get into the last chapter of JJK. We're going to review it. So where we left off last time is, Nobara took the girlfriend, just average person here. And there is no curse seal on her. There's no curse technique markings. She can't find any of that. So they come to the conclusion that it has to be a curse user that is activating his curse technique in a area around them. So an estimated curse technique has a radius of 50 meters or so. So they already debunked that he has to be rather close, either on top of the building, somewhere in the building. But if they can get him outside that radius, then they can try to spot who is activating their curse technique in order to make her see googly-eyed boyfriend. This is about them explaining it. They're going to have them go to the 40th floor condominium over here. The floor is over 150 meters above ground, and it will get them out of the radius. And as they are going up to the 40th floor, there, Megumi, Yuji, and Nobara are investigating, see if they can spot anyone. And they did. Here he is. He's doing the curse technique. And here he is activating it. Where they see big old googly eyes here. They chase him, Megumi catches him, says that they have lack of focus. Typical stuff. If you read it from the beginning or saw the anime in the beginning, this is quite typical for the three of them to be joking around and whatnot. It comes out that she worked at a cabaret at one point, and he was always fawning over her, big simping. And then he bought her a very expensive bag, but she doesn't remember who he is because, well, one, he was a customer. She probably had loads of customers, loads and loads and loads of customers. So of course she wasn't gonna remember him. So that's why he had a big old freak out, because you don't remember me. I bought you that bag. Boo hoo, whine, yada yada. It comes to here where Yuji's talking to him, telling him that he won't get the death penalty for what he did because he didn't hurt anyone. He just made them have big old eyes. And he's asking, what will I do from now on? I don't know how to convey affection, so I ended up blaming the other person. So this cuts to Gojo talking with Yuji. So in chapter 269, Megumi and Nobara were given letters about, one about Megumi's dad, two about Nobara's mom. And with that, Yuji said that him and Gojo already talked. This is their talk. I'm not going to read it word for word, but, Yuji's, asking him about how could he forget him if the fight went sideways. Gojo's talking about, if the worst happens, it's my wish and my dream that you carry on in my absence. Even if I go out the way I am now, everyone will grow up and surpass me someday. Given that, I think it's better for at least one person to forget me and be strong in ways completely different from me. Yuji's telling him, how could I forget you? This isn't like you. Where'd your confidence go? You gonna be okay like that? And Gojo says, You're so naive. I've never been more sure of myself. I'm counting on you, Yuji. This is the thing that gets me right here. People think that he was so confident he was going to win the fight. A lot of people were confident he was going to win the fight. He knew it could go either way, but he's sure of himself that the Jujitsu world, the Jujitsu sorcery world, will change for the better, and it's in good hands regardless of how the fight goes. The next generation will take up and change everything, and it will be different from what he had to grow up in. Just like with us, when our kids grow up, we can be confident. Hopefully we can be confident in that the world will change because of them. And that's what, Yuji's saying. You already know you went wrong, so you'll be fine. Atone and then come work for us. I'm counting on it. He's kind of taking on Gojo's role, but it's going to be completely different from Gojo. Gojo was the most powerful sorcerer in the world at that point. And now, with him gone, it does fall to Yuta, unfortunately. It does fall to Yuta. I say unfortunately, I don't like Yuta that much. But he is a very strong sorcerer. He was able to copy Kenjaku, which is, putting his head inside of someone else's body. That way he can continue to live on. His cursed spirit, Rika, was able to sustain his pretty much dead body. And he was able to go from Gojo's body and go back into his body. That, if that's not powerful sorcerer, I don't know what is. And it cuts down to right here where Nobara's saying, hey, what about that one thing? I got rid of it. You what? Chill, it's not dangerous anymore. It's the perfect ward, so no worries. And he's talking about the finger, Sukuna's finger. And then this is where I have a problem with, right here. There's Mahito saying, Sukuna, you got here first. Oh, you're here. This is the third time we've talked. Because my curse technique affects the soul, this is kind of a residue of that. This place is a passageway for circulation of souls. So this is kind of like, purgatory? We can go with that. I wanted to ask you something, Sukuna. You were lying, weren't you, to yourself and others, just about living as befits your nature. I think your life was about revenge against everyone who scorned you as an abomination. It amounts to the same thing. That is my nature. I know no other way. No, that's wrong. I could have chosen how to live. I had 2 chances. We don't know who this person is. We don't know who this priestess is. Part of me thinks it's a very, very distant ancestor of Utahime, which is a priestess in JJK. She's one of the teachers in the Kyoto school. But we don't know who this is. But he's saying he had 2 chances, whether to raise a child, maybe he fathered a child, or to, go off and get married. I don't know. We don't know. He goes on to say here, but I had to vomit out the curse writhing in my entrails. I was afraid of immolation by my own curse. If there's a next time, maybe I'll change how I live. Mahito's saying, but that's boring. You're going to settle down? Of course. After all, I lost. But then I'm the only unruly child left. And then he's throwing a fit. And that is the conclusion of Jujutsu Kaisen, the series finale. This creaks, you see his finger, they say it acts as a ward, but I believe that this is going to continue on. There is still a lot of plot holes in this manga. One, they mention Meimei's clan. She kills one of the clan's heads. We never hear about it again. Gojo knows who Nobara's mom is. He gives her a letter saying that this is where your mom is at. We don't know who her mom is. What's going to happen with Maki? Are they going to figure out that she was the one who slaughtered the Zenin clan? Because it's only Maki and Megumi left. Even though Megumi has a different last name because his dad decided to take on Megumi's mom's last name when they got married because he didn't want to be attached to the Zenin clan. He is still a Zenin. Him and Maki are still, he is still Megumi Zenin. Fushiguro, technically, but he's still a Zenin. These 2 are the only members of the Zenin clan left. Did they not figure out that it was Maki who slaughtered them? What's going to happen with the culling games? It's still active, but it's lost its purpose, if you will. There are so many plot holes. And a lot of people think it's because Gege is a terrible writer. Granted, no, he's not a terrible writer. This was his first big manga. This manga blew up for him, and it gave him leeway as well, and it gave him the push to create more later on down the line. But he confirmed that there's not going to be any more JJK, no future, no nothing. It's not going to be like Naruto. But at the same time, I wish he would have kind of led us to like tying it up a lot more nicer than this. I get that he was probably tired of working on the same manga for so long, but at the same time, you know, my opinion was like maybe take a break, maybe go on a hiatus, and then end it a little bit better than what it was ended. That's my gripe about it. You know, you guys can say in the comments, or you guys can tell me, you know, if you like the ending, if you guys have read the ending, but it's just, I don't think it's like proper tie-up for Jujutsu Kaisen. If you think it's a great ending, you know, that's your opinion, and I will respect your opinion. Of course, you know, I'm just reviewing it how I see it. Going forward with this manga review, I do really like doing this. The manga review. I am gonna start doing some anime reviews as well. What I am gonna do though is that I found some new manga that have just released. Some are on chapter 15, some are on chapter 4. In the community tab, I'm going to put up a poll and I'm gonna leave it up for about till Wednesday. I'm going to leave it up till Wednesday, and you guys are going to vote which one I cover next. If you guys have suggestions, I would love to hear your guys' suggestions as well.